You're recording? Okay. Good morning. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Well, good. What is your first and last name?
Harry Dietz.
Well, it's very nice to meet you. And when were you born, Mr. Dietz?
I was born May the 18th, 1934 at the Seguin Hospital.
Oh, yeah? So today's May 18th, 2019. How old does that make you?
That makes me age to 85.
Well, happy 85th birthday, Mr. Dietz. I have a few questions for you. We're going to do a little interview on your 85th birthday. Our first one is going to be, what was your favorite pastime as a child?
Watching TV.
Watching TV. What did you like to watch on TV?
All the Cowboys ones, and there was a few others,
Yeah.
It's been a few years ago. I can't remember all the programs on.
Mr. Dietz, what was your first job?
I worked at Haberman's grocery store. It was on Kingsbury Street,
Yes, sir.
right by the American Legion Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I did all kinds of jobs in the business there.
Yes, sir. And what was your pay rate?
I received 75 cents an hour.
75 cents an hour. Were you a service member, Mr. Dietz?
Yes,
Okay, and where did you serve and for how long?
I was in the United States Air Force, and I served 4 years. And first started out at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. I had 13 weeks of basic training, and then I was now educated and know what the Air Force I had to do. And they shipped me from there to Biloxi, Mississippi, Keesler Air Force Base. And there I went to school to learn to become a control tower operator, controlling air traffic. And so then when I finished that, they sent me to Kelly Air Force Base, back to San Antonio. And I served there, and it was about 8 or 9 months that I served there. And my sergeant came back to me and said, and Harry, he said, you worked the tower, and out at the right at the end of the runway, you see that trailer there with them big antennas on them. That's where you GCA. That's what you call when they need to get a plane down fast. And he said, I want you to go with me. I want to show you out there tomorrow. And we're off tomorrow. So I went out there and we went in there. And there was 2 men working behind 2 screens. And so they showed me what all they did and everything. So then I went back and then he said, what do you think about that job? And I said, well, that sounds pretty good. And I said, you can sit sometimes and don't have much, but then you get work to. And so I said, I think I'd like that. And he said, okay. He said, we'll see. And so then they gave me orders to go back to Keesler Air Force Base and learn to operate in that trailer. And I said, well, I bet they send me somewhere else, not to him. And when I got through with that, they sent me back to Kelly Air Force Base. And I've now been to Lackland, to Keesler Field, and Kelly, and now I've had put in 2 years in the Air Force. And my 3rd year came around, and then they gave me orders, and I went to French Morocco in Africa. And Americans had built a big air base there. And when we went through the gate there in the bus, we were the first enlisted people on the base. And so we got that base up and running with the GC and the tower. And I worked there for a year. And then I had 3 years in, so I had 1 more year in. So I went to my commanding officer and I told him, I said, I've got 3 years in now, and I said, I've got a year in here, and I said, they'll probably send me back to the United States. And he said, I don't want to go. I said, I want to go to Germany. And he said, well, what air base you want? At that time, this was in 1940, 45. He said, what base do you want to go? At that time, we had a lot of bases, air bases in Germany. And I said, I don't care, just whatever base. And so he said, well, that's easy, then I'll get you there. So he sent me, and I went to Hahn Air Force Base in Germany, and I served there in 1 year. And that was the best base I was in the Air Force. Then they sent me back to New York City, and they processed me out of the Air Force and gave me all my money and stuff that I had, and I had to buy. I bought bus tickets back to Seguin, Texas. I had to ride a bus from New York to Seguin.
That's a long ride,
Yeah.
huh? How long do you think it took you?
Oh, it took me 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
And then I got home. That was my career in the Air Force.
Well, thank you for your service. Alrighty, our next question. Who has been the most influential person in your life?
I guess it was one of my teachers in high school.
Yes, sir.
He was my teacher, and he was a distributive education program where I worked in businesses and went to school a half a day in junior, senior year. And he was a graduate of the University of Houston. And so he took me and 2 other boys with him to Houston on the weekend when he took his wife and baby to her parents. And then he took, I'd never been to Houston. And he took us all over the city, showing us how big it was. And he took us to the campus, and we went all through the campus, and it was great. And so he sold me on that idea. So I went to the University of Houston then when I graduated, and that was in August that I went there, and I started summer school, and then I got a postcard from the Seguin draft board, and they said, you're now class 1A, and you're subject to the draft.
Ooh.
And so that's when I got into the Air Force.
Oh.
He's the one that started me in that direction. He worked with me years later too.
That's great. I'm glad you had such a good mentor. And our next question, what is your favorite pastime as an adult?
I guess my favorite pastime is sitting down and watching a lot of old cowboy songs.
Old habits die hard, huh?
Watch them over. And my wife gets upset about it and said, you've seen them 20 times, every one of them. And I said, yeah, I know, but I know that when they're shooting, I'll know where the real shooting is going on. I know everything was going to happen. But I said, I like to see them over and over again.
Yes, sir. And you're also very active in our community. Tell us about your community service a little bit.
Well, I'm a member in the Seguin Noon Lions Club for 25 years now, and I am very active in the church. And now, presently, I've been there in 4 years, and I work for the church, and I go in at 7 o'clock every day and open up the church, turn the lights on, turn the heaters, our air conditioners on, open up the offices and fix a big pot of coffee. and about that time, all the staff comes in, and so they work there. And so then I go to the hospital then every day and check to see if there's any members of our church in the hospital. If there are, then I go see them. And then I would also had the job of calling on all the nursing homes that we had patients in. Right now, Seguin Assisted Living, we have 9 patients there.
Wow.
And so Monday mornings I go there. Monday mornings I go open up, and then I go to Seguin Assisted Living. And takes me to 3 hours to get through there because they all want to talk. I take the Sunday bulletin because they didn't get to church, so I give them the bulletin, and then they always said, "Sit down, I want to talk." You know, they're lonesome, so I got to go. It takes me at least 3 hours to get through there, and then I take a break or something, and then I'll usually go over to Dietz flower shop and relax a little while, and then go out back home, go to work. That's about all I have in that respect.
Well, that's quite a busy schedule there. Alrighty, and what new technology have you found most helpful in your life, and what is the least helpful technology?
Well, I would say the cell phone is one of the good things that I know. The computer is too, but I've never become very. Linda, my wife, has worked with me, but I'm a slow learner, and she finally always gives up on me.
Alrighty. If you could pick one thing from your young childhood to bring back into style, what would it be?
I would say to always go barefooted in the summer months.
Oh, okay.
I would look forward to that all the time. My family was very poor, and so from little on, my brother and I would always, we went to school and church, we wore shoes, but when we got home, we were barefooted and went to play.
Do you still like to go barefoot now?
No, I don't like to go.
Hurts a little bit more now, huh? What was the happiest moment of your life, Mr. Dietz?
The day that I married my wife.
And how long have you been married?
We've been married now 45 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
And how would you like to be remembered?
I just hope I remember by the people that I helped and worked with and took care of. All of my years of working in the flower business too. I taught school many years, and then I also became a minister in a church, and then I both served in a church. And then I came back, and Linda went full-time back into the flower shop, and then I got a job and became a teacher at Seguin High School, and taught there for 5 years. Then I went out to West Texas, Snyder, and became a professor out there, and that's where I met my wife, Linda. She was there. So then we got married, and that's where I got my wife.
That's where you picked her up.
I asked her to marry me, and guess what? She said, "I'll marry you."
Well, it seems to have worked out pretty good, huh? Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do a little interview. And again, happy 85th birthday from everybody in the Seguin area. You're very beloved.
Thank you.
Thank you.